Signing on for today's lesson. And if you saw the quote for today, you know that it said, "Stop being so self conscious. It's okay to laugh at yourself." So many times we find ourselves being embarrassed, or some people use the word shame about different things. And it's been my experience that if we learn to laugh at ourselves whenever something like, I call, let's just say something silly happens that might cause other people to laugh, we will learn how to not be so self conscious. And I can remember, for those of you who've known me for a long time, even like some of my college friends, I used to be extremely shy. And extremely shy people are extremely self conscious people. You're always concerned about like what people think, what they say, how they look at you. Like you're just really not comfortable in your own skin. And so I outgrew that when I was in college, thanks to my college experience and all of the wonderful friends and everything that I made while I was there. It helped me not to be so shy and helped me to be a whole lot less self conscious. And so I've learned, throughout my life how to laugh at myself when something silly happens. If I'm walking through a store and I trip over my own feet, people probably wonder like what I'm laughing at, but I will laugh at myself and I will laugh out loud. So silly things. I've bumped into doors. I laugh at myself. Like I said, I trip over my feet. I laugh at myself. Just anything silly like that, learn to laugh at yourself. And I've had a couple of experiences that caused me to laugh at myself. So I'm going to share just a couple of them with you. And so a few years ago, not several years ago, but a few years ago, well, maybe more than a few, but anyway, we were living in North Carolina, as you've heard me talk about living there before. And this was post pandemic. And at the time, we were back on campus. They had brought everybody back to campus to work, but we were working again from our offices. And you heard me in one of the other lessons talk about something there. But this particular day, we were in our office, all of the counselors and everybody there, we were all in our offices working. So we were doing virtual therapy with our students. If the students wanted to come into the office for their sessions, they could, but we offered virtual therapy. So we basically just kind of log on, we'd send them a link, they'd log in, do their session, log out, do the whole bit. And so I was in my office. I remember being in my office one day and having a session like right after lunch. And during lunch, you just kind of relax a little bit. And you all have heard me tell my stories before about, or heard me talk about the fact that I wear wigs because I don't have a hairstylist. And so this particular day, I had had my lunch break and everything, had finished my lunch and gotten myself together to log on to do my session with this student. And so I sit down in my chair, log in to have lunch or to have the session with the student. The student logs in. And so we start, our session, our check in, and all of that. And as we're going through the session, I reach up to like scratch my forehead. And as I reach up to scratch my forehead, I realize that I forgot to pull my wig back forward because I would, during lunch, I'm in my office, it's just me. I would kind of push my wig back off of my head and just relax my head a little bit. I don't like things constraining me if I don't have to have them. So I had kind of pushed it back and, had been just like comfortable in my office. And I forgot to pull it back forward before I started my session. So when I realized this, I just kind of snickered to myself and, just very casually like reached up and pulled the headband back forward, back to the proper position of my wig. Student never said anything, never missed a beat, just kept talking. And so after I called mom and told her about it, and she and I laughed about it, and then I told like the other ladies in my office, and we laughed about it. And they were like, only you, Dr. J, only you would, do something like that embarrassing and then think it was funny. And so I did. I thought it was funny, so I thought nothing of it. So then fast forward, 3 years later, 4 years later, we're living here in Clarksville, and we had been out running some errands. And lo and behold, I go in Walmart. I run into, darn it, I didn't want to say the name of the store because they don't pay me to advertise for them. So pretend I didn't just say that. I go into a store because again, I'm not starting this video over. I go into a store and as I'm walking through the store, what do? I reach up to scratch my head. And what? Yeah, I had kind of pushed the wig back on my head again while we were just driving around town and forgot to pull it forward before I get out of the car. So, what do? I laugh at myself. I pull my wig forward and I keep getting whatever things I have to get while I'm in that store. And so learn to laugh at yourself. You don't have to be embarrassed. And my Uncle Peter, for those of you who knew him, to know him was indeed to love him. And one of his favorite sayings, he passed away when I was in college. I think I was a sophomore in college, so it's been a lot of years ago. And one of his favorite sayings was, "I'm not embarrassed." And he'd do just whatever. And then he'd say, like, "I'm not embarrassed." And that was just his thing. And that philosophy, I think, would serve all of us well. That if you do something silly, something goofy, so what? Just laugh it off and keep moving. It'll help you not to be so self conscious. It'll help you to be more comfortable in your own skin. Okay? So think about that. The next time you're tempted to be like embarrassed about something, or even somebody attempts to shame you about something, channel my Uncle Peter and tell them, "I'm not embarrassed." Learn to laugh at yourself. Stop being so self conscious. Okay? That's our lesson for today. Hashtag life lessons. Hashtag listen and learn. Hashtag words of wisdom. Signing off with my wig pulled forward.